Hey YouTube, what's going on? Nick here to talk about Prey. I know I'm a little late in my review as it's been out for about 2 weeks now, but this should have given people ample time to watch it at least once or twice or three, four, 5 times, depending on how much you enjoyed it. And if you didn't enjoy it and you're watching this video, well, maybe I can somewhat entice you to give it a shot. I thought it was actually pretty good. I appreciated the fact that it was in 4K, so it looked nice on my TV and it wasn't long. It was a decent length. So overall, I'm gonna out of the gate here, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I don't think it should go any higher than that, and I definitely don't think it's the best Predator movie in its respective universe. And I'll get into that a little bit later. What I liked about it was the location, the cinematography, and obviously the effects that were, meshed into it. And honestly, the setting and the lore that this movie sets for the other movies in this Predator universe. The year 1719 is unique because it has direct ties to the second Predator movie with Danny Glover, which is a movie that gets slept on and people say it's not good. But when's the last time you actually watched that movie? Comment below if you've watched it recently or you actually do like that it should be respected. I'll say that. Now, I'll say for the other positive things in this movie, the things that I appreciated, the things I liked, was that we got to see different Yautja here. We got to see this feral Yautja. It had a little bit of a leaner look. It had like a different tone than we're used to seeing from the Predators, the other Yautjas, and one to the Predator and Predators. So like the 2010 and the 2018 movies, and obviously the mandibles were different, right? And that was a really cool mask. I liked the mask. I think it had a little bit of um, a more foresty, woodsy, naturistic type of vibe to it. Aside from like the like this metal looking mask that we're used to. And I thought it was pretty interesting how this Yautja also decided to take different tech with it, you know, because it's not like it didn't have the Yautjas didn't have the capability or the technology to not use a plasma cannon, right? Like they're still traveling through space. They still have cloaking devices. Their technology is well off and far more advanced than the humans on Earth. So for that reason alone, to see something new like these tracer darts, or bolts rather, that get shot out of the cannon, yeah, was fresh. I liked that idea. It had a shield, it had like new explosive devices. We got to see some similar weapons that we're used to, like the claws, like the staff, so like the net. So it was really cool to see some of these things come back into fold, but also kind of give us some new, fresh weaponry from the Yautja and the Preds. So I like that. Now, in terms of the Comanches that were involved, I thought Amber Midthunder did a pretty good job, and Dakota Beavers, which I read that this was his first movie. I thought he did a good job, so kudos to him. And I liked both of their characters. And one of the things that Dan Trachtenberg said, and it's obviously noticeable too. There's not a lot of dialogue, so there's not a lot of talking. It's more about what the story is told, in this nonverbal communication through the actions, through the tense and intense moments like the mud pit, the bear scene, when they're trying to hunt the lion, and when they get taken by the French, and then the French try to set a trap for the Yautja, which goes horribly wrong, and it's just a slaughter fest. And so again, like I like the fact that we got this Predator 2 tie-in because if you go back and watch it, you'll see there's a name, Mr. Raphael Adolini, I believe his name is, and it says 1715. Now, there's something else that ties to that from a comic for the backstory of that pistol, where this Yautja, the Yautja that has this pistol, the flint pistol lock, uh, his name's Greyback. This particular Yautja that looks older that has it, and he goes, "Take it," right when he throws it to Harrington, Danny Glover's character. I mean, we wondered if that was the same Yautja that originally got it, 300 years ago, or rather maybe like 200 something years ago. And because the Yautjas can live for a long time. So the significance of that, of seeing Raphael, as it's confirmed in the credits, that is the character that has his leg, blown off, and he goes to Naru and says, like, please, like, help me, heal me, with your herbalism, and I'll teach you how to use the pistol. The difference about what happens in the comic is that Raphael is on a ship, and his crewmen try to Jack Sparrow him, and there's mutiny on board. But the Yautja and Raphael actually team up, and they kill the entire crew. And so, out of respect, Raphael dies, but the Predator takes that pistol, as like a memoriam, and 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 so for this Yautja to have this memory for 200 and what year is that, 200 and I think 90, is it 96 is when Predator 2 happened. So I mean, we're talking 200 and 80 years, if my quick math is correct. Almost that, around there. Anyway, um, uh, it's interesting, and I like the fact that Dan Trachtenberg decided to use this. But the thing about it is that they said that this was the first time that the predator species has come to Earth, and that's fine. But that means if you're going to go with that, you can't go into the other age ranges on Earth. You can't do something samurai like. You can't go to like ancient Egypt. Like, you can't go back to the medieval times, which I think it would be cool to see that. So either they say, hey, we recanted, or that was like what we believed at the time. They could always recanonize it and go, that's what we thought we knew. But when you read a new story and go, hey, actually they we're in feudal Japan, we got to see samurais, we got to see ninjas. Like, it would be really cool to see that, but you got to make the story seem right. So but we'll see. I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do in the future movies. And if I had to take a shot in the dark, I would assume they'll make a Prey 2. Now, I have some theories about that I'm not going to get into this video here. So I'll maybe save that for another one, because I do have some interesting ties that a friend of mine and I stayed up into the wee hours of the night over a weekend, having bourbon and talking about this. And we found some things out that we didn't even really know over the last several years, because of new things being put into this sort of universe. So I know I'm being a little ambiguous here, but you'll want to maybe listen to the next video I put out in regards to what my Prey 2 synopsis would be, or would be story for that. So in terms of, again, going back to the human characters of the Comanches, it's obvious that Tabe, his character, is like, he's like a top tier hunter, right? And then you've got his younger sister that wants to also be a hunter, because all the other women the Comanches, they tend to different things. I'm not too sure what it's actually called, what they do, but they fix the hide, the buffalo hide. they make food, they practice in herbalism, right? So they do a lot of things to help support um, the entire tribe, I guess, and and the like the men involved who hunt for food and gather. So I think it's kind of interesting how her character wants to be out of the ordinary. Like when she leaves, when she's like, bump this, I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to go hunt. And then they have to go find her. No one stops her, which I thought was pretty interesting. You see one girl kind of look at her like, where are you going? But no one decides to stop her. And it's sort of like this, what's really her motivation for leaving? What's really her motivation for wanting to be a hunter? Because she can, because she has the freedom and maybe the free will to do so. Because in the beginning of the movie, when she's sharpening her knife, her mother says that's plenty sharp, right? Like you don't need to, it doesn't need to be that sharp, but then makes a reference to her father, which we don't know where their father is. I doubt he left because that's not something I think was done in the year 1719 with the Comanches. So I would probably chalk it up in saying he died or passed away somehow. Could have been by an animal attack, maybe a snake bite, maybe a bear attack, or maybe it was the French, or maybe those pesky Brits. Sorry, redcoats. Got to throw that out there because it would fit timeline wise. So I would say in terms of him or her father not being there, what was something said to her from her father, like maybe his last moments alive and breathing? Did he say like you could be anything you want, Nadu? Like like where's the real motivation in the struggle for her to overcome it and to be something that she's really not, or the women are often not seen as, because she wants to almost like a potentially be like a female war chief, or something along those lines where she leads. um and even though her brother, in terms of being a hunter, was very far in front of her, and we see the aspects of that throughout the movie when he shoots the hawk out of the sky with ease with his bow and arrow. He's the one who kills the lion. He puts a hurting to the Yautja, towards the end, and it's because he's kind of kicking its ass, riding around on his horse, that the Yautja has to resort to cloaking as a not really a get out of jail free card, but normally the Yautjas will try to fight fair. Think about when the Yautja in the first movie, who fights Arnold, takes off all its tech and fights him hand to hand. Um, and it's because the Yautja realized like you're a worthy opponent, and which is kind of going to go to the death if it came to it at that point. Um, and the interesting point about Prey is this feral Yautja was kind of going that same route, um, until it was like, no, 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 I need a cloak or I'm going to die here. And then they don't know where it is. And then Tabe kind of senses it maybe, and um, gets him right through the chest with his claws. And that's that. And then Nada runs, and she eats those flowers, and more or less that makes her invisible to the feral predators technology, between the different sort of perspectives that it can switch through, with like heat sensory and, night vision, infrared, all that kind of stuff. So it was, for a second, I thought they were going to go that same route, and with the mud and the clay, that it can't see that, and it masks, her, the heat in her body. But we didn't get to see that, but I think that was what like the mud pit was an homage to. So, but yeah, I think I just want a little bit more drive, a little bit more motivation that really pushed her aside from the simple fact that, yeah, sure, she just wants to do it, so she's going to do it. It's like, Okay, well, no one's going to stop you, from doing that. It's like, well, I mean, you could apply that same logic to anything in life. I want to be, um, a successful writer. I want to be a successful, director. I want to write a book. I want to learn to play an instrument. I want to be, an athlete, right? Like I want to be a bodybuilder, like Arnold. Like the motivation is there to do it regardless, and that's not, you know, wrong, or that's not right. Or sorry, that's not. Uh, it's not like the idea is there, so you can do it like that. Much like Naru can just choose to go the route of like, well, I want to be a hunter, like my brother. Okay, yeah, no problem at all. And it's as simple as that. And it may be, and I'm not saying that this is being overanalyzed, but the drive to do that, even though there's danger out there, again, like, hey, if I want to learn to play guitar, there's no danger in that. But when you're going to hunt animals, a lion, like what puts you over the top to become like a worthy hunter of the Comanches, much less fighting a Yautja, that's much more dangerous than a lion, than a bear. And she does, and she takes off its head and brings it back to her village, which then needs to move after that. But you know, if it wasn't for Tabe, I don't think she would have been able to beat it 1v1. Tabe weakened it, and maybe you could chalk it up as a handicap. And obviously, it died. We'll say fair and square. She outsmarted it with its own laser tri-dot laser lock on bolts. RIP. But the interesting part was at the end when she brings the head, and I'm like, are they going to question what that is? Because in the first movie, it self-destructs and blows up. The second one, the dead body is already on the ship, so they just fly out of there. And the 2010 movie, they're on the game hunting world, and then in The Predator in 2018, I actually don't quite remember that movie because it was awful, and I haven't watched it since 2018. But obviously, they know about the tech, and that's sort of what's preparing for a war amongst the super preds and the humans. But more on that later. So I'm wondering at 17, 19, if the Yautjas are like, wait, he died? Or it died? What? Oh, we got to go retrieve that head. We got to make sure that these humans, they don't know what we are. We don't want that, right? And at the end, I didn't even realize it until my buddy pointed this out. But the end credits, it shows like a little, animated, sketchings of we'll say like drawings from maybe the Comanches themselves, like telling a story. And you see the events throughout the entire movie, which was cool to see. But it was at the very, very end, before the black scrolling credits went up, that we see them look and point to the sky, and then we see multiple ships enter. And then it cuts, right? So it's a little bit of a cliffhanger, but it also sets up for a sequel, right? The real question would be whether or not Prey 2 would take place right after that, or if that would maybe signify what happens in several years. So I have theories. I don't want to make this video too long, aside from it already being almost or past 20 minutes now. So appreciate everyone that's been able to stick through this and hear me kind of talk this through. But again, I'd say in a nutshell, it was a good attempt to make a new movie with something different. I think Dan Trachtenberg did a pretty damn good job. Like I said, 8 out of 10. And I was looking forward to this movie, not because I love this universe, but also because I thought Dan Trachtenberg did a good job with 10 Cloverfield Lane. And of course, with John Goodman in that movie, that made it, great. Um, and again, like seeing some new actors in this movie here, it was a little bit of a different approach. But again, I thought both Amber and Dakota did a great job. So and I can't think of the gentleman who was in the Yautja suit, but the way they approached doing that, like with the animatronics and everything, and like the practical effects were. So I actually saw a video today um, about him actually moving it right. Just action. There's no sound or anything like that. Like just pure organic noise coming from it on set, and it just looked awesome. So that I think I just like kind of like the nerd me to kind of see stuff like that is really cool. But anyway, enough rambling. I'm going to make another another movie. Yeah, another video on Prey 2 with some theories that I have that could set up this sequel. So if you have any comments about what you thought this movie deserves score wise, or anything else you'd like to share, I'm more than willing to chat with everyone in the comment section. And stay tuned for some other videos I'm going to put out soon. And until next time, I will catch everyone on the next video. Cheers.